Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I want to introduce you to this, our second podcast with an incredible, dynamic woman. And again, we're going to talk about connections and how important they are. And I think they're essential for our evolution. I think many people know people, but there's no real connection. So I want to keep introducing you to people that I've connected with in my beautiful city and beyond. And so today I'm bringing you someone who refers to me fondly as the Energizer Bunny. You guys think it, but she coined it. And that's her title for me. So I would consider her right there between a girlfriend and a mentor, and somebody who has taken time to write articles about the work I've done. And now it's with grace that I get to introduce her in all her glory to the rest of you. So her name is Miss Joyce Nanette Johnson. And why don't you introduce to everyone yourself in the way that you would like to be introduced?
Writer. And I say writer because it encompasses all forms of writer, whether journalist or, so writer, and also motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And host, MC, mother, as is the case with especially
most of our community.
Yes.
We all wear so many multiple hats. So I just thought you wanted me to stop it too.
No.
But I could go up to it as every woman in our community.
Yes.
No matter what color, you probably could have 10,
Facts. And what's beautiful is I know her, I know her children. And what I want to ask, Joyce, is tell me if you remember how we first connected. Like, everybody knows I have a selective memory, let's just say that. How did we first connect?
Well, we first connected maybe, 10 to 15 years ago? That long ago.
Wow.
And we were both volunteers at the Carter G. Woodson Museum. And that is where we first connected. This is where I first fell in love with my Energizer Bunny. And let me just tell you about her being an Energizer Bunny. We both came on board about the same time as volunteers. And this woman was just so amazing. She just came. She motivates you. I mean, you almost feel ashamed when you're sitting there and Carla's just Energizer Bunny. So that's where we very first met.
Wow.
And we've been on that journey kind of together ever since then.
Oh, wow. See, I wouldn't have even remembered that. I wouldn't have remembered that. So what I want to ask about is, I remember when you wrote the book, 50 Ain't Always Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was such a cool title to begin with. And I'm like, 50 Ain't Always Fabulous. I kept saying, well, keep the doors open. I'm coming. So I was clearly in my 40s then when you wrote that book. And I admired you for being an author and for giving it to us young women that is coming up straight. And tell me about that book, and then we'll get into the new book that you've written.
Well, I wrote that book because everybody in the advertising and marketing world, then and now, is talking about how fabulous it is aging. And it is fabulous in some respects, but a lot of, I'm kind of an honest person. People that know me know I tell it kind of like it is. So I had to be honest. Over 50 ain't always fabulous. Whether you're talking about sex or your grown children, or what you're trying to do on that next path. So it's reflections of a baby boomer. That's the generation I'm from. So that's where that came from. To say, no, it ain't always fabulous. It's okay. But we're not always happy every day like they make us out to be in marketing. We're not all that, you see these cool looking ladies with gray hair now and they got it going on, and my body's not feeling nowhere looking like that commercial,
And we needed somebody to tell us that and allow us to come into it. So now I'm over 50.
Yeah, and it's okay.
And it's okay, and it's lovely, and I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Okay. We'll talk on that later.
Yes, I'm enjoying it. I keep hearing how what's interesting is how beautiful I look. So, and it feels different. It hits different being 54 and being reminded of that. But let's talk about this book, your latest book, your latest project of passion, I'm sure, and meant to inspire and share a journey. So out of the darkness of depression and into the spiritual light.
Yes.
Tell us about this book, which was newly released last week. I feel like
Couple months ago.
Okay. So, but now you're getting media attention for this book. Tell us about it and what made you decide to bring this message forward.
Well, I tell you, and I just couldn't let this go. This is not my type of writing, I should say. You know, like my last book was irreverent, kind of funny, you know, but this is kind of more serious. And I couldn't let it go. Something, I don't know, wouldn't let me let it go. And I decided it was time for me to come out of the closet. And the closet was depression. I've suffered with it for years, and anybody that knows me would never think that Joyce Nanette Johnson is a depressed type of person.
Right.
Because it's hidden behind that mask, as for so many in our community. So I decided to write. I decided to come out the closet, but it wasn't about sexuality. It was coming out of the closet because I hid behind that mask because I was afraid of the stigma. I was afraid of people criticizing me and thinking I was some raving idiot. So I decided to come out of the closet, but it was about being hidden for depression. And so I wanted to tell people my journey, some of the things that I did to help myself. There's all kinds of things that you can do to help yourself and changing your diet. But the first thing is coming out and admitting that you are a depressed spirit. You have that issue. So that's why I decided to write it. That was my coming out to tell somebody what I did, hoping that it would help somebody. And it's so amazing. Just 2 days ago, my cousin said, "Oh, Joyce, I've been depressed most of my adult life." And I'm like, just like nobody knew that about me.
Right.
I never knew that about her.
So you're giving courage and voice to people, not just women, to people.
Right.
What are the signs? How do you realize that you're depressed?
Well, there's about 9 stages of depression. There's a major episode which will last for like two weeks. Then you go into the next episode, which is more than 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you have bipolar depression. You have postpartum depression. Even that the sun, with the weather, sun. I forget what it's called.
But a lack of
sunshine
during the fall.
So so you got all of that going on. So first you have to be honest with yourself and look at how. Now, if you're just getting depressed, everybody's going to have a bad day. We're talking about steady depression, off and on, all of your life, months on. That's the type of depression we're talking about, because everybody's going to have a bad day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so you talked about diet. How ironic that I'm doing work with food. We crack up about that. Nobody thought Carla the farmer. It rolls right off your tongue now. But when you talk about, you mentioned food, diet. So what kind of things should people do if in fact they're experiencing depression? How did you transform your diet?
Well, the diet, they have a lot of things. I'll just give you 2 examples. Caffeine and processed food are the worst things for depression. And those are 2 of the things that we love.
Yes.
We love caffeine and we love processed food.
Facts.
So those are 2 things that I know you can take off.
Right.
But on the things that help you with depression are fresh berries, and we're looking at on this one, leafy greens.
What a concept.
Leafy greens. And there's lots of items like that help and inhibit or can help you. So again, it's getting that book. I wanted people to go on their own journey of discovery about how to help themselves. The first step is finding out your level of depression, admitting that you are depressed, and again, it's okay. Then the next step is whatever level you're on, do you need to seek out more professional help? Do you need to see that psychologist? Do you need to see that psychiatrist or psychologist? What do you need to do to get to that next step? But the first step is admitting that you have this condition. And then the next step is seeking where you need to get help at what level.
And so for you, what kind of support system, like let's say within family, when you came out and said, hey, I've been battling depression for how many years?
Oh, wow. I was going to tell my age, but I'm going to, okay, since you insist, I'm going to say over 40 years.
Wow.
Most of my adult life. I didn't have it as a child, but most of my adult life. And
And what do you think prevented you from just saying, hey, I mean, not that you have to shout it from the top of the roof.
Stigma.
Okay.
Up until lately, especially in the Black community, depression didn't exist. It's like we didn't have time for depression.
Wow.
Because we were always doing this and doing that, and we just had to keep going. And then that created another fantasy that we don't have time to go in now about the superwoman.
Yes.
Because we just kept going and we just kept stuffing it down. And again, it wasn't acceptable. Because like I said, if you said to somebody, Joyce Nanette Johnson is a depressed spirit, they would have laughed at you. You're lying on her. Yep. During all this time, the last 30 to 40 years, I might have had 3 to 4 people in my whole extended family that even knew about this.
Wow. Was there something that triggered it when you say 40 years ago? Was there something that happened 40 years ago that post that incident, like, for some women after giving birth?
Postpartum is one of them, yes. Nothing really, like I would say, happened. It was just, it's funny how you can describe depression. It's a void, it's a darkness, it's just you can break into yourself. You're just shut down. Your spirit is gone. The second part of that title is the triggers. Okay, that ignite depression and the scriptures that can help you get out of it. I find with depression, sometimes we get in depression, we don't know how we got there.
Right.
Okay. Like some of the things in there are loneliness. Okay. Now you might be feeling lonely. Okay. And in there I talk about being lonely sometimes, the scriptures or affirmations, positive thinking that I went to. But the condition is loneliness. And then I hear the things, maybe the prayers that you can do so you're not lonely. Another thing was I never obtained that dream. Lots of time. And with the dream, I speak in there though, you need to reevaluate that dream. The dream that you had 20 years ago, if you really think about it, it may not be the dream that you have now. So there are triggers, I write another thing in there about, now I love clothes.
Yes.
I love clothes, right? My cousin.
And you look fabulous today, by the way.
Thank you so much, my buddy. My cousin has a fabulous mini mansion outside of Atlanta. I love to go stay there. I enjoy it. It's fabulous. That doesn't trigger my depression because I'm not into houses, even though I've been blessed all my life to live in single family owned homes. But that doesn't trigger me. I'll tell you something silly that triggered my depression one time. Somebody I went to school with, I hadn't seen in maybe 30, 40 years on Facebook. And she was on there and she had this leather coat. It was a leather jacket and it had fake crystal buttons.
Right.
Okay. Now I took that from seeing that coat.
Wow.
To imagining that, she's really got a fabulous life. Look at this coat that she's wearing. Well, she's got that coat. She's really doing good. And I had talked myself. That was just a trigger.
Right.
Leading myself into depression. Now, here's the real story. I got 4 leather coats in my closet.
Right. Isn't that something?
I got 4 leather coats in my closet. But no, when I saw that is a trigger to me.
Oh, wow.
So we all have different triggers, things that trigger us. Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk about, I would love to go a little bit deeper into when you talk about into the spiritual light. What is spirituality for you?
Wow. In one word, God. Okay. To the book, I want it to mean a little bit more. When I'm start to do the workshops, I'm also not only going to include Christianity. When I was researching this book afterward, a lot of inspirational information in the Quran and just Confucianism and the affirmations that he's saying. So any type of spirituality like that. Right. That's what I mean by spirit. God, if you're a Christian, the Quran, Muhammad. So that's what I mean into the spiritual light. Yes.
And that's good because I believe in oneness. I believe if we have more in common than not. I have to feel like I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, I know you. And so I'm thinking, you're absolutely right. I would have never known that you hid it behind a smile, behind looking fabulous in your clothes, and behind helping everyone else but yourself. So how now do you nourish yourself so that now that you're out, how do we make sure that you're feeling fulfilled? Your depression is not who you are. It's something you experience. Well,
those 3 to 4 relatives that I told you about, they're still there. They're still there in my life. And a lot of times we don't trust the people that are surrounding us.
True.
We need to get to somebody that we can trust.
Okay.
I don't care if it's your mom, your sister, maybe it's not your mom or your sister.
Right.
So you have to be able to release that to someone, minister, so that's the first step. So I've learned that when I get in one of those triggers, what to do. And the other thing I speak about in here is building a war chest, a spiritual war chest.
Right.
By that I mean whatever emotion that you're feeling, there should be something that a scripture or affirmation that you've already found. In other words, don't wait till you're going through it to build the spiritual war chest.
Right.
You know trouble's coming. One thing positive, you know it's coming. You don't have to say if it. No.
Yeah.
When is it coming?
When it's coming.
So when you are on your feet, this is when you start to build that spiritual war chest. You're going to find the scriptures or the affirmations that you were feeling with, and you're going to write those down. Or you're going to do that affirmation board. You're going to write that down. So you're going to get ready for it because it's coming.
Right.
Now, I would love to say, no, I don't have any more depression, but I would be lying. And I want people to know it's a journey. Okay. But the journey is so much better now because years ago, when they first put me on,
I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm watching your caffeine-filled drink.
Well, don't tell everybody.
I'm watching your drink and I'm saying, wait a minute.
How could you be my bunny and you're going to rat me out in the podcast?
Do not leave here.
Hey, I told you I was still on the road.
And you meant it.
I told you I was still on the road to recovery.
You ain't never lied.
I try not to lie. I'm still on the road to recovery. And that's another thing I want to tell people. I'm not cured. I'm not cured. So I have my good days.
I love you wrote this along your journey.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can get a copy of your book. Are you doing book signings? Where can we get it?
Well, it is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. So you can pull it up. On Barnes & Noble and Amazon and have a copy. Also, the book has a website of its own. You can order it through there. It has a link. And the ebook.
Tell us the website.
Well, it's really long.
Okay, no worries. No, okay. We will post the website when we post this podcast, so you will have access to it, I promise.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, I hope it helps somebody. You know, it's a journey, but it has changed. Because I remember depression years ago, there was only one medication.
Right.
And I used to tell my mom, she used to tell me, well, Joyce, why don't you take it? And I say, it doesn't help. So now years have come by, and now they're telling me, if you watch the commercials, you need this extra medicine to help with your depression medicine. Well, now I know that all those last 20 years, why it wasn't helping me is because they hadn't developed the second medication yet.
Wow.
So it has changed. The acceptance of depression has changed. But also what's changed, we're being more impacted. I remember growing up, we had them bunny ears, we had about 8 TV stations, and that was it. We've got information being how can you not help it being depressed sometimes? Right. How can you not?
So I'm going to wrap. I'm going to thank everyone for listening. I'm going to thank you for sharing time with me. And I'm going to say that the strength is, in fact, in the discovery that you can come out of the closet and say, I'm a woman that is journeying through depression. So I'm hopeful that this message helps someone today. And I'm glad I was able to share this connection that I have with Miss Joyce, who calls me the Energizer Bunny.
The Energizer Bunny.
With the rest of y'all, enjoy your journey, and remember, connections are meaningful for our evolution.